Episode 3 of House of the Dragon is about the difference between winning power and ruling with power. Rhaenyra has finally taken the Iron Throne, but the episode quickly shows that sitting on it doesn't solve her problems. She inherits an empty treasury, a starving city, divided nobles, missing enemies, and constant pressure from people who all think they know how a queen should rule. The episode explores grief, legitimacy, class inequality, and the danger of absolute power, while also showing how difficult it is to hold on to your principles once you become responsible for an entire kingdom. Rhaenyra begins the episode standing in her father's old chambers, remembering a time when Viserys and Aemma were alive and life felt simpler. The room is described as being thick with ghosts, which is more than a poetic line. It symbolizes how Rhaenyra is constantly surrounded by the expectations of the past. She isn't only trying to rule Westeros, she's trying to live up to her father's faith in her while carrying the grief of losing both Luke and Jace. Daemon immediately pushes her toward a harsher approach. He argues that Ormund Hightower, Daeron, and their soldiers should have been killed, while Rhaenyra insists on clemency. This disagreement becomes one of the episode's central conflicts. Rhaenyra wants to prove that she can rule with restraint, but Daemon believes mercy is weakness. Daeron's capture forces Rhaenyra to confront a brutal reality. He's young, frightened, and hasn't personally harmed her, yet he's also a potential claimant to the throne. Daemon repeatedly reminds her that leaving him alive could create future rebellion. The interesting part is that Rhaenyra hesitates because she still sees him as family. However, after briefly mistaking another young man for Jace, her grief hardens her resolve. The episode suggests that grief can change moral calculations. Decisions that once felt impossible begin to feel necessary when viewed through the lens of loss. One of the smartest parts of the episode is how quickly it shifts from dragons and war to money and food. Rhaenyra discovers that Tywin Lannister emptied the treasury, leaving her unable to fund a grand coronation. Mysaria argues that spending lavishly while the city starves would be disastrous, and she's right. This introduces a major theme: symbolic power versus practical power. A coronation would strengthen Rhaenyra's legitimacy, but feeding the people is what keeps the city stable. The nobles think in terms of ceremony, while Mysaria thinks in terms of survival. The petitions from the small folk reinforce this. The poor accuse the nobles of hoarding food, and Rhaenyra realizes that ruling means dealing with ordinary people's suffering, not just noble politics. Even her period becoming an issue before the hearings is a reminder that queens are still human beings dealing with physical discomfort while expected to appear strong and composed. The recurring rats aren't just background detail. After Aegon killed the city's rat catchers, the infestation has spread throughout the Red Keep. Symbolically, the rats represent the consequences of short-sighted decisions. Aegon's anger created a problem that continues affecting everyone who comes after him. They also reflect the state of the kingdom itself. The throne may have changed hands, but disorder is still crawling through the walls. Rhaenyra's conversations with Alicent are some of the episode's strongest scenes. Alicent tells her that hearing petitions and making endless compromises will slowly turn her into someone she no longer recognizes. Rhaenyra initially rejects this idea because she wants to believe that a good ruler can remain morally unchanged. Alicent's point is that Viserys lived in a world where others handled many of the difficult choices for him. Rhaenyra doesn't have that luxury. The banquet is the episode's most memorable symbolic scene. The nobles arrive expecting a celebration of Rhaenyra's victory. Instead, they are served roast rat, the same food the starving commoners have been forced to eat. Rhaenyra uses the meal to expose the hypocrisy of the elite. While the city suffered shortages, wealthy houses hid food in their storehouses. By ordering the gold cloaks to seize those supplies, she presents herself as a queen willing to challenge the nobility on behalf of the people. However, Torrhen Manderly immediately points out the uncomfortable truth. Rhaenyra's blockade helped create the shortage in the first place. This is important because the episode refuses to present her as completely innocent. She's trying to solve a crisis that her own war helped cause. Corlys' confrontation with Rhaenyra is one of the episode's most damaging moments for her. She refuses to legitimize Addam and Alyn, even though Corlys has publicly acknowledged them as his sons. Corlys responds by pointing out the obvious contradiction. Rhaenyra expects her own sons to be accepted as heirs despite widespread doubts about their parentage, yet she denies the same recognition to his children. For once, Rhaenyra has no answer. The scene exposes how deeply questions of legitimacy shape Westeros politics. Blood matters, but power often determines which blood is considered legitimate. Daemon spends much of the episode arguing that Rhaenyra is thinking too small. He talks about dragons, prophecy, and the possibility of becoming almost godlike rulers. In his view, 6 dragons give them the right to take whatever they want. Rhaenyra rejects this idea by invoking the doom of Valyria. She believes Viserys understood that unchecked power eventually destroys itself. This is one of the clearest statements of the episode's main theme. Power without limits becomes dangerous, even for the people who hold it. The reveal that the captured Daeron is an impostor is both a political embarrassment and a strategic warning. Ormund Hightower has outmaneuvered Rhaenyra, forcing her to realize that the real Daeron and his dragon are still free. The deception also mirrors the larger conflict. Throughout House of the Dragon, appearances are rarely trustworthy. Claims, loyalties, identities, and even peace offers often hide another purpose. The episode ends with news that Ormund has taken Tumbleton and is holding its people hostage. Rhaenyra's first reaction is to burn them all, but she's immediately reminded that innocent civilians would die as well. This final moment captures the central tension of her reign. She has the power to destroy her enemies, but every use of that power risks harming the very people she claims to protect. Behind her, green banners burn in the courtyard, symbolizing the destruction of one regime. Yet the scene also hints that replacing a banner is much easier than creating a just and stable kingdom. By the end of Episode 3, Rhaenyra has learned that ruling isn't a single victory. It's a series of exhausting decisions involving food, money, loyalty, justice, family, and war. The Iron Throne has become less a prize and more a test. And the episode suggests that the greatest threat to Rhaenyra may not be Aemond or Daeron, but the slow transformation that comes from trying to hold power in a kingdom already falling apart. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.